Welcome to Coaches and Coffee, and thank you all for being here this morning. Glad to see everyone again. We had a small break last week, of course, with our Giving Day, where we were preparing for Tuesday, and thank you all for participating in that. For those of you who don't know, we were able to raise over $160,000 on that one day alone, and we've still got gifts coming in that were pledged that day. So it's incredible support from our Beach Athletic Fund family, and it will certainly help us close out this year and move into the fiscal year 2021. So we thank you all for that. We've got Coach Mauricio Ingrassia here from the women's soccer team. And without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Coach and let him talk.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for having me, Camden. It's nice to see some familiar faces after not seeing so many familiar faces. As you see, this is my favorite place to be, right here. I wish this time, around this time, we'd be in the middle of probably wrapping up our morning session. And I just wish I was there, obviously. But nonetheless, we're making the best of the situation. Our players are working very, very hard, even though these last 2 weeks, the last week and this week, we're not bothering them because they're in the middle of finals and getting ready for that. But it's been a great spring. For us, we didn't really miss a beat from what we wanted to accomplish, which was establish a winning personality, a winning mentality, which I think in the fall it was tough for our kids to fall short more than they're used to, and so for them to come in spring, it was very important for us to build an identity and feel like they're themselves again and feel like they can be Long Beach State, and we did that. We didn't play a full arrangement of games, but we played 3. We played against Pepperdine, we played against University of San Diego, and we played against San Diego State. So Pepperdine and San Diego State, championship programs, they both won their conference. Pepperdine went to the NCAA tournament. Well, I'm not sure if Pepperdine won their conference, but I know they went to the tournament. I know San Diego State was at the top of their conference, so very competitive, and USD is always a tough match for us historically. And I'm happy to say that we did not give up a goal in those 3 matches, and we won 2 of them and tied 1. So for their confidence, it was very, very big. And I feel like the last part of the spring would have been to just kind of cement that from a mentality standpoint. But we were last year was rough in terms of the end result, and that really can play with your head, and so for them to come back and do what they did, even though it was an abbreviated spring, we're really hopeful that we got out of it what we needed to. If you can remember, we had just one returning contributing starter that had been playing all the way through from fall through spring. And into the fall. So that was tough to have just one player that was at 100%. The other player, that was Hayley Ramirez. The other player that we had that was a returning starter was Taylor Beislein. And unfortunately, she had missed all of spring and pretty much all of summer because she had a torn labrum. So when she came back, she was just playing catch up. It wasn't a fun year for her from a physical standpoint. So even though she was very important on the field, I feel like from a experience and mentality standpoint, she's one of our most important kids. She just wasn't 100%. And so everybody was kind of in a new learning situation. And the one thing that I'll say is their ability to stay in, even though we were getting beat up, everything was by one goal. A lot of games could have gone one way or another, but they stayed in it. They just kept coming back week by week, and I'm just really, really proud of this group. It's been one of my most enjoyable coaching experiences to have this group. And on the last day, I'll never forget, we were in the Doug and Sandy Leafstead lounge as I was just thanking them for the season after senior day. And one of the players said, "Hey, coach, we want to thank you. We want to thank you for all your efforts, and we want to thank the staff." So, and they clapped, and I get goosebumps thinking about it, because it was really one of the few times that a team has thanked me, and for us to go through all that adversity as a group, and for them to feel that way at the end, even though it was a very last game, and we refused to lose on senior day, and we ended up tying Hawaii, who had their best season in their history by making the Big West tournament. For them to feel that way, and for us to that really made me feel good. It made me feel like okay, you can't always pick how the results go. We've all seen games where you can kill a team and lose 1-0, or you can be on the receiving end and hang on, and then steal the game at the end. And that's just the nature of our game. So you can't really control maybe a referee call maybe makes it, in your favor or away from your favor. But what you can control is how you come back each and every day with your effort and your attitude and your response, really, which is what we talk about, is how do we respond to adversity? That's the only thing we can control. We can't control the events that keep happening. That's been a big theme in our program, and we do a lot of work in the springtime teaching the E plus R equals O, events plus response equals outcome. You can't control the events. You can't control the outcome. The only thing you can control is the quality of your response in order to try to influence the outcome down the road. And I always like asking the players to raise their hand and tell me who thinks they can control the events. And I always have a few kids that raise their hands. And then I say, okay, well, if you could control the events that happen in your life, how much money would be in your bank account, and who would you be dating? And then that hits the point home. And so then they start understanding that things are going to happen continuously, every day. And that's the one constant about life as we know it. Even we're going through it right now. The only thing that's important is how we respond and the quality of our responses. And I think our players, our seniors, our juniors, they've all been through it, so they understand it. So it's like, hey guys, we're taking soccer to the Zoom now, and this is how we're going to do it. And they're so dialed in. I talked to Hayley Ramirez 2 days ago, and we were talking about possibilities for fall. We're talking about housing. We're talking about just random things. And all I had to say at the very end was like, hey, you know what? A lot of unknowns. All we could do is respond. And she's a kid she doesn't have a lot of words, and not many. She's a kid of she's kind of quiet, but she said to me, she goes, yes, always. And that, to me, those little things, you could see the message getting through. So I'm not worried about our group. I think we're going to be just fine. Just whenever we're ready to go back, we're going to be ready to go back. So with that being said, Camden, thank you again. And I could start taking some questions.
Yeah, Coach. Couple questions that we had come through here. One is, what does your recruiting situation look like? Who you bringing in? Who did you lose from last season? And, just give us some information about the folks that you're going to bring in to the beach.
Okay, well, let's start with who we lost from last season. So I just mentioned two of them. We also had Katie Pingle, who actually got on professionally in Costa Rica, but she had to miss the last part of the year, a few games. So those three, and we're bringing in a class of 7 plus a couple of transfers. So we have Bella Wakeling, who is coming from Lake Tahoe City College. They were one of the top ranked JCs in the country. She was JC All-American. She's very athletic, quick winger type player. Originally, she's a winger attacking player, but she's been playing in the back. So that'll be a nice situation for us to be able to. We also lost Ayana Robles, who was a fan favorite, 22, for you guys that just remember numbers. But Ayana is continuing to go to nursing school, so she chose not to take her 5th year. So Bella is going to fit right in there and add to the depth. We have Bree San Lucas, who comes from the San Fernando Valley, Valencia. She is from Real SoCal, which is one of the better clubs in LA. And she's a left-sided player. She could play anywhere up the left side. We have Celine Garrick, who comes from Redondo Beach High School and the Slammers Football Club. She can play centrally. She can play center back. She can play holding mid, but somewhere in the middle of the field. We have a young lady. Well, she hasn't signed yet, so I can't talk about her. But it's a Canadian player, and that one is a kind of a question mark right now. She's committed to coming here, yet internationals, we don't know what's about the visa situation. We're afraid to tell them to start making plans because we don't know when we're going to start. So that one's up in the air. We have a young lady from Fresno, the Fresno area, named Evan House. We're very, very excited about. This player has all the tools to be a star, and she's under the radar, very athletic, very determined. She's a goal scorer. She's got great size. I think this kid can be something. Hopefully we can get her some minutes right away, and we don't have to wait too long to get back on the field. But I'm excited about Evan House. Remember that name. We have a young lady from Minnesota coming, and this is a really interesting story because she came to our camp. She really wants to be at Long Beach State, and she's a goalkeeper. And she is from Minnesota, so I'm asking, like, what are you doing here at my camp? And she said, well, I have family in Huntington Beach, and I want to go to school here, and we're deep in the goalkeeper position. We have four. Anyways, we could take a walk on, but it was going to be like a fifth goalkeeper situation at the time. So I was very much against bringing somebody in as a fifth keeper. When we don't know what that was going to look like, when she was ever going to play. But she really, really wanted to be here. And as I dug deeper, I met her father. And you guys know I was born in Argentina in a small town called Rosario, about the size of San Diego. And her dad was also born in Rosario, and his name is Mauricio. So I'm like, this is too crazy. I have to take this player. That's a sign. So I'm taking Mauricio's daughter from Rosario, Argentina, to be on our squad, and she's going to live in Huntington Beach, and now she's climbed up because we had a goalkeeper drop off, and so now we actually have a crew of four, and she's pretty athletic. She actually could play down the road. We could if we have a great goalkeeper coach, Patrick Seymour, and he told me, bring me athletes and I will make players out of them. So she's an athlete. Next we have Madison Perez. Madison Perez is from West Covina, and she's probably on paper the star of the class. She has been to the last 3 or 4 under U20 U.S. national team camps, played for the national team in Europe. She's a center back, I'm looking for big things from her. She could also play outside. She could also move into the holding mid. That's kind of like the trademark. If you have a good center back, they could probably play a couple other places. But really, she's very savvy, very technical, can read the game. She's mature. And so we're excited about Madison coming in. Next is a player that was highly recruited because of her potential. Her name is Maya Daley. Maya played on the same team as Maddy Perez, and Maya we've been recruiting for a long time. Been recruiting for a couple years now, and it was one of those where we just had to stay in the game. And she came to the UCLA game in the fall, which we played really, really well, and we broke the attendance record. And really that was one of my very first, hey, come check out where we hang out. Come check out our locker room. And she came in with her parents, and right then and there I said, look, I know you may not be sure, but we're going to play all the best teams. We're going to be right here, and this is our history. I was able to show them the history of our program and all the championships and all the great players that we've had come through. And she committed pretty much on the spot, but let me know the following week. So Maya Daley is going to be someone that I think is going to start for us. And then Sky Rodriguez, she's a forward young lady from Newport Beach, and she's coached by one of my very good friends in the game. His name is Ada Greenwood. If you guys can remember, an English guy running up and down the sidelines whenever we played USD, University of San Diego, he was their coach, and he's her coach right now. And he is the one that said, look, she's under the radar. I think if you can take her on, she could either walk on, or if you could throw a little bit of money for her to commit and be part of the program, I think she can be good down the road. So he's somebody that I really trust. And anyways, that's how we put together our class. So that's our class basically. But we did get a couple of transfers at semester. So one of them was a player by the name of Amy Medwin, and she's coming from Melbourne, Australia. She's had some experience with the youth national teams in Australia. She went to Ole Miss in the fall, so she was a freshman at Ole Miss. We actually played against her team, and we didn't win that game, but we played really, really well. And that's the thing about soccer. You can play well, but if you're not good in the boxes, you're gonna, you've got to be good in the boxes. And we weren't in the fall, and we were too immature. But we outshot them 18-8. We had the ball the whole time, still lost 3-0. Their keeper had the game of her life, saved the PK even. But anyway, she noticed that, and after the fall, she's like, that's my style of play. That's how I play. She didn't really get in. SEC style is more physical, bigger, faster, more direct, and she's more of a West Coast style player. And so she sent me an email after the season, and we needed that was when Ayana was deciding not to play, and so we picked her up right away, and she had a great spring, the abbreviated spring that we had. She is a fun addition to our core. She's also, her character is, you could just see it. She's like an elite level type player. She wants more. She was logging on from Australia to our Zoom sessions at 2 a.m. Poor kid. After that, when we figured that out, I said, all right, you don't have to log on anymore. We will come to you at 3 p.m. our time, so she could be at a decent hour. Waking up and being able to be with us. She also had a funny experience. Well, not so fun experience. When she went back, she had to be quarantined. So she had to be in they put her in a hospital, or not a hospital, sorry. They put her in a hotel. The government paid for it, and for 14 days she could not leave her room, not even to get food. They would bring her food to her. So poor kid had to do 2 of those. One was when she flew in, and then next when she went to visit her dad in I think it's Tasmania, where she's from, and that's where I think I have the island wrong. Anyway, sorry, but the second place she had to do it twice. But now she's free. She's able to train. I saw a plant in the background last time I talked to her, so it seems like everything's going to be okay. And then the other player that transferred in the spring semester is a young lady by the name of Hayley Smith. She's about 5'11", is probably quicker, faster than Tori Bolden. If you guys remember Tori was very, very fast, and she is a goal scorer. She has everything to be a star in this league. She is just recovering from an ACL. She sent me a video the other day of her running, finally her form, running up hills. So if we can get her back healthy, she's going to help tremendously. And that's pretty much our class and our transfers for the fall. If anybody wants to ask anything else, we're trying to just do the best we can. We're really, really lucky and confident in what we do, our everyday environment, which is really the most important part of development, is what you do every day. And I have my assistant coaches that are a big part of that. Coach Jeff Joyner, who runs our academy. We have Coach Patrick, who's involved with goalkeeper training. And yeah, so I think our players believe in us. We have a very strong sense of belonging at Beach. Beach FC is the name of the club. And so I think we're going to be okay. It's just a matter of, the world's turned upside down. Everything's on Zoom, and we just don't know when we'll be allowed to come back to training. But no, that's a good question. For now, I think the way I see it is I see opportunity, because there's going to be players that fall through the cracks, and the ones the staffs that hustle are going to be the ones that maybe land one or two more people, and that's really what it's about. And we want to make sure that we're the ones hustling to find those talents, and that's how I kind of built our staff. Is I have a JC background. I mean, I had to really hustle all the way to the even the last week before. There was no NLIs. You had to make sure they were coming. I couldn't even go on vacation because I had to be calling from vacation to make sure the kids were coming. And then our assistant coach Jeff, he comes from a Division II background, same thing. And so no, we'll be hustling, and hopefully wherever we land, it's going to be a good situation where we're going to have opportunities for players. And also, I think it might one of the ways I think recruiting is going to change is it might stay more local, and that can only benefit schools like ours, because people may be afraid to put their kids on planes and have them be away from their families or from what they know in Southern California. So Southern California being such a hotbed, it might affect this in a positive way.
Great. We've got another question here from ELB. It says, can you share with us what the current thinking is about starting practice on time, or even the start date for the fall season? And do you think we'll be able to watch games in person in the fall?
That's a good question. We're preparing for whatever. Right now, our start date is August 4th. And that's what we have in our minds. But I am not sure about as fluid as this situation is. I don't know if that's going to be set or if that's going to continue to get pushed back. I did, in fact, today just send an email out, and we backed out of a trip to Nebraska and to Northwestern. We just felt that the end of August, which is when the trip was it's coming up way too soon for us to have any type of ability to plan for it. Our credit cards don't even work now, so we wouldn't be able to go and really, to be realistic and fair to them, for them to find maybe some local opponents. We backed out of the trip. We're definitely committed to returning. So we're going to try to figure out, if you guys can remember, Northwestern came to us in 17. And then Nebraska was here 2019. And so we have returned back to them, but I let them know that we wouldn't be able to do it this fall. So we're trying our best to be ready for some sort of situation where we can play games. And what we've done as a conference is we've gotten together with the coaches, and we've put our schedules on a Google Doc. So and we put our games with that require flights, whether to or from, like for example, Texas is coming to us in the fall. We put those in red, and then the meaning that they could probably not happen. And then in yellow are the ones that are local drivable, but maybe like an Arizona or a Northern California or Vegas or something like that, where it's driving distance, but still kind of far. And then in green are the local ones, the Fullertons, Northridge, Irvines, UCLAs, SCs, whatever. So we put all that on a Google Doc, and we're trying to mix and match to see if we cannot do any of the red games, can we still do some of the yellows and some of the greens? And maybe it means doing a double round robin for our championship, and that would help fill the games and have our players be able to have a season that's pretty complete, because we can knock off. We have 2 more teams in our conference now. We can knock off 18 games, and that would be great if we can that could fall back onto something like that. So that's what we're doing. We don't know. We don't have any idea. Obviously, I think the latest thing that I read was from the NCAA president, and he said that basically until students are in the classrooms, fall sports are in jeopardy. So because anything that happens that goes on with the students is our players are students and athletes. So if a class has to be social distance with masks, I can't imagine us being able to play a contact sport or scrimmaging or training. So I think we're at the mercy of somebody finding or being able to, for us to be able to develop a vaccine and maybe widespread testing, just like we're all seeing on the news. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know, but we're trying to have an alternate plan.
Coach, we got a question here from a familiar face. I think he's trying to get some coaching pointers. We got one here from Brian Camacho. Brian, can you ask Coach?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. First of all, we're very blessed at the beach to have some unbelievable coaches on staff, and we get an opportunity to learn every single day, like Coach Mauricio. And I want to ask you, as a coach and being in this profession, who has been your inspiration, your role models? In addition to that, if you could describe your style and why players love to come to Long Beach and play for you.
Well, I think my inspiration is my dad. I'll start there. My dad's the type of guy that he's against all odds all the time, and he came here with $900 in his pocket, and he's made a life for himself. And his outlook in life on a daily basis, and what he radiates as a human being is something that will always be with me. And as I was watching, as we all were watching The Last Dance and watching Michael and how he had his dad with him, I think I very much can attest to that as my guiding force. And I'm very fortunate to still have him with me. He lives a couple blocks away. And every day I'm just so thankful to have had him in my life. So that's my spiritual, the way that I go. From a soccer standpoint, you all know the Barcelona style of play. And there's a guy named Pep Guardiola who I've very much admired since for about the last decade, for everything he stands for in terms of how you play the game, how we want to be the protagonists, we want to have the ball, we want to build up play, but now the game's also evolving and changing, and so you see a different style from Jurgen Klopp and at the top end of the game. But there's also coaches that people don't know about that are local that I talk to a lot, and that are more maybe in tune to. I mean, that's the top level, so the more in tune to what we do, and they don't always have to come from soccer. I mean, I see Coach Jeff. I love watching his training sessions. I remember. I still remind him. I went there, and they were having a couple years ago when they were up against it, and he was just getting after, like you wouldn't believe. And I walked away like just in awe of that, like just being in a situation where it's easy to be up 3-0 and look like a great coach. And now what do you do when things are against you, or maybe you don't have all the talent, like Pep Guardiola, he gets to buy anybody he wants to. Okay, it's kind of an easy situation, but I'm more interested in the people and the coaches that how they are tested and how they respond. And so I have a lot of local people that I admire, and Coach Jeff is one of them. Thank you guys for being on here. But thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
You're the man.
Before we let Camacho off the hook, he's got quite the quarantine beard going on. I like it, Coach. That's looking good.
Looks like Manny's.
That's my inspiration. I'm trying to get there.
He has to edge it up a little bit better though, Manny.
I think I have more gray than him right now.
So I'd like to take a moment to recognize one of my alumni. I sent a quick text out to see who could jump on, and Shauna Gordon's on here.
Nice.
If you guys remember Shauna, she graduated in 2011.
I don't know if I can hear. Hi, everybody.
There you are. So thanks, Shauna, for being on.
You're welcome. No, this is cool. Really cool. I obviously had some questions too, so you definitely answered it as far as being in quarantine and what's going to happen for the season.
Shauna, do you mind answering a question for us while we've got you on?
Sure.
What was it like playing for Mauricio and also being a student athlete at the beach?
Yeah, playing for Mauricio, I think one really good thing that he always did and still does, which is why a lot of people are drawn towards the program, is create a comfortable team atmosphere. Literally reading the same books every year, the 4 agreements, there's some things that he just really sticks to and that have worked for him in the past, and he still does. And every year I think he also adds little bits and pieces. I now, have my own nonprofit, and I train girls and kids, and I call him and I talk to him every once in a while, and we kind of go back and forth even now about coaching tips. And I think he also just keeps those relationships going as well, which is a testament to him and his personality as a person, but also relates to the program and things on the pitch as well.
Perfect. And what about being a student athlete at the beach? How did that set you up for your future after graduation?
Yeah, student athlete wasn't always easy. That's for sure. My dad, definitely when I was in high school, he was all about soccer. The student part was there, but it was definitely more drawn towards the athleticism and making sure that I could get a scholarship, because we weren't able to afford any type of schooling outside of, a full ride. So schooling was super, super important. But for him, it was, the balance of both. And going to Long Beach, I think it really helped, obviously, with just discipline and being timely. We had to be I had to always get my ankles taped in the morning. So I always had to be up extra early. And sometimes I'd had to, go and get that done at 5 a.m. So definitely discipline was something that really helped me, and obviously my work ethic and all that translate into life after soccer and college.
Let me add to Shauna here. She was our first professional player, and she got to play in the big leagues, which is the NWSL. And she was a journeyman for a couple of years, where she wasn't drafted, but she went to Boston Breakers, had to spend a year in the reserves, went to Australia for 6 months, had a highlight career goal against the world goalkeeper of the year, the player of the year, which is a German goalkeeper. And she sent me that, and I still remember posting that. And that was a great header goal for her, big moment. And then she went to Sweden, and then came back to the States, and she got on with Sky Blue. And so one of the highlights for me was flying up to Seattle, watching her play against the Seattle Reign, in an unbelievable environment. So she's been, and she came, like she was mentioning, I built a really strong relationship with her dad. And so she came here it took her about 9 games to crack the starting lineup, and after that, she didn't.
7.
Shut up. Okay, sorry. And then after that, she kind of picked up the level, and it's really more physical. The fitness level was different, and once she figured that out, she was the best player on the field 9 out of 10 games, 90% of the time. And man, what a joy to have. And not only that, she's a connector. That's very important to have good people. The one thing that stands out about Shauna is when you talk to a group of young people, most of them, especially nowadays, how many of them will actually look you in the eye and for how long? Shauna, I mean, right here every time, no matter what, no matter how short, how long, she was the only one. And that says something about, who she is as a person. And she connected the Leafsteads to our program. She was the donor that was connected to Doug and Sandy, and they became our fans, and they got connected to soccer through Shauna. She was at our dinner with the president when we were trying to talk about the need for a locker room for both soccer and softball, and she was at the initial dinner and spoke at that dinner. So she's a big part of who we are, and I'm just thankful that she's even taken time here to show up and say hello.
Yep, of course.
Thank you for being here, Shauna. Coach, we got a couple more questions that have come through. One is from Laird Matthews here. Laird lives up in the Bay Area, and he wants to know if there's any visits any games that are on your green list up in the Bay Area, and when you think the schedule will be out on the website.
We don't have any games in the Bay Area. We do have San Francisco coming to us this fall on opening weekend. So USF will be here, and we're going to return to them. So maybe next season we'll be up there. As far as recruiting goes, I don't know if that was a question, is whether it was games or recruiting. So recruiting is right now we're at we can't recruit, so we can't travel anywhere to recruit. Obviously, there's nothing to recruit, but we'll see when we're able to get up there again. But yeah, we have a lot of friends in the Bay Area. And a lot of good players have come to us from there. So we look forward to getting up there again, playing this home and home against USF, who's had a very good last few seasons. Yeah, should be fun. We should be up there sooner than later.
Coach, when do you think the schedule will be completely settled and we'll be able to put it out online? That was his follow-up question for you.
Well, the schedule was completely settled until Friday, and so Friday we decided to remove that last weekend in August. So when I removed that last weekend in August, now obviously I'm gonna have to go and see where I can find 2 local games to replace that. But it was set to go out. I'll have to double check and see if what we can release moving forward.
For those of you that are season ticket holders and ticket holders for all of our beach athletics, May 19th, the Beach Athletic Fund will be putting out season ticket renewals. And of course, with things being a little bit fluid in the fall and in the spring, there'll be some different variables that we're trying to work through right now. But your season ticket renewals and all the information will be coming out next week on the 19th. So keep an eye out for that.
You want me to talk about the schedule?
Yeah, please do, Coach.
So we're supposed to go down to Chula Vista. We went there 2 years ago, and it was a really great experience. It is the Olympic Training Center, old Olympic Training Center. Now it's the Elite Athlete Training Center. And we spent 5 days there. It's like a dorm situation, but really it's like we were able to have 2 days, 3 days, whatever we needed. It was all soccer, and we were secluded. And when we're in Long Beach, we finished training, and there's so much for the players to do. There's so much what I call distraction. So that one of preseason where we could just go walk from the dorms to the fields, to the cafeteria, back to the dorms, to a meeting room to watch film, back to the dorms, to do weights, back to the dorms, and then spend the night and then do it again the next day with double days. It was very, very valuable. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to afford that this year. And last year we didn't do it because we took our trip to France, if you guys can remember that. So we've got to be sensible to the budget that we have, and so we're not going to do that. We took it off the schedule. But at the end of that camp, we were going to play against Grand Canyon. So because they were actually also flying in to do the same thing we were doing, the preseason in this place with dorms and stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen to that game, but we're supposed to play Grand Canyon. I believe it's the second week in August. It was supposed to be in Chula Vista. So that was our first exhibition. Our second exhibition is on August 15th, and that is against LMU in LA at LMU. So Grand Canyon was supposed to be on the 12th. LMU is on the 15th. Then we open up, our home opener is on the 20th, August 20th, and we host Arizona. If you can remember last year, we were out there and we got, it was the most bizarre game that we that never got played because of the lightning situation. So they're returning to us on the Thursday, August 20th, home opener. Then on Sunday, we have USF at home. Then we just, I have that open weekend now, 28th and 30th, because we're not going Northwestern and Nebraska. Then on Thursday the 3rd, September 3rd, we have Cal Berkeley coming to Long Beach. On the 10th, we have Texas in Long Beach. On the 13th, we're at San Diego State. On the 18th, we're at UCLA. On the 20th, we're hosting UNLV. And then we start conference. And we are at UCSD to begin the conference. Then we host Fullerton on October 1st. UCSD is on the 27th of September. October 1st, we host Fullerton. On October 4th, we host UCR. We're at Hawaii on October 8th. Davis at home on October 11th. We're at UCI on October 18th. Bakersfield at home on the 22nd. CSUN at home on the 25th. And we finish with the Central Coast trip at Santa Barbara on the Thursday, at Cal Poly on the Sunday. And you might notice that some of these games, like Fullerton came to us last year and they're coming to us again. Davis came to us last year, they're coming to us again. That's because with the addition of UCSD and Bakersfield, the schedules didn't quite line up home and away the way we were supposed to. So we're doing the Central Coast trip away again 2 years in a row, but there's other games that are coming to us. So that's the schedule. And I'm going to see if we can see. I don't know what's going to happen with Texas. That's the other question mark for us, if they're going to get out here or not. But most of the others are pretty set. They're pretty much either green or yellow type games.
Coach, can one more question here before we wrap up, but Debbie DeCouzian had another question for you. She was asking about the Big West and how you think it's going to stack up and who our biggest competition is going to be to keep us from bringing home another Big West trophy.
You know, the Big West is one of the most underrated and competitive conferences because anybody can beat anybody on any given day. But if you look at the league historically, it's pretty steady, and it's usually between the usual suspects. And you're talking about Long Beach, you're talking about Fullerton, you're talking about Irvine from time to time. And Santa Barbara's been on the come up a little bit, but if you look for NCAA appearances, I think it was, if you go back 10 years, 2010 Long Beach, 2011 Long Beach and Irvine, 2012 I think is Long Beach and Northridge, 2013 Fullerton, 14 Fullerton, 15 Fullerton Long Beach, 16 Long Beach, 17 Fullerton, 18 Long Beach, 19 Fullerton. So it's the usual suspects, and it's the clubs with. I always believe that tradition's the best motivator, and we've built quite a tradition, and there's quite a level of expectation from our program. The one thing I'm proud of is our out of conference is probably second to none. We play against ranked opponents all the time. We had a streak going like 10 straight years of beating ranked opponents. We've beaten SC, beat UCLA over the last 5 years. I don't know that there's very many programs that could say that they've got those 2 wins under their belt. But yeah, I think it's going to be between Fullerton, even though they graduated a big class. I think Irvine had a down year, but I think they were in every game as well, and they've got tradition as well. I would say between Irvine and Fullerton. Cal Poly had a young squad last year. They actually did pretty well. Santa Barbara had a great year, but they lost their top scorer, who had like 17 goals, and she's playing professional now. Hawaii had a great year. It could have been a breakout year. It could have been something where they can make it again into the tournament, make it a stepping stone. But I always bet on the traditional powers, and I think that's what it's going to come down to.
Coach has quite the Sean McVay memory there, going all the way back to 2010 with the tournament teams.
I can go back further if you want.
Coach, we'll let you close with any last-second remarks here, but we appreciate your time and coming on with us, and appreciate all of our fans and donors for hopping on as well.
I just want to thank everybody for you taking the time to even come and talk to me. And to listen about our program. I'm so thankful to be here. This is my going to be my 17th year at the beach, and I'm just so proud to lead the program. And there's so much going on that is uncertain, but the one certain is that we're the beach. We're one beach. And we stick together, and we have a very faithful donor base. And I count my blessings every day to be here in front of you guys. We've been working so hard to make sure that we put the product that our community deserves on the field. And you can bet your life that we're gonna be doing that in the fall. Hopefully in the fall as we get out there. But no, thank you again. Thank you, Camden. I want to give a shout out to Camden that you put together that last drive. That was great. That was unbelievable. It was so needed and brought so many people together. But no, I look forward to more. I love our community. I love everything that we're about. I hope everybody's proud of who we are, and we'll continue to do it the best that we can.
Thanks, Coach. And as a fundraiser, of course, I can't leave this off, but the Drive to 49 continues. So if you were not able to give last Tuesday, we are open at all times. So visit us at beachathleticfund.com. We need your support. We had Shauna on here who gave us a great testimonial to what being a student athlete is all about. beachathleticfund.com. You can join our Drive to 4900 and support student athletes. We thank everybody for being here. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next week with Coach Kim Souter. So, all right, go Beach.
You guys, go Beach.